spider just killed a couple of flies.
Yeah, could have went into that. There are different kinds of addiction. Denobuta geographically, but Scandinavian Sam would have sounded better. And finally, one of his recent videos was plagiarized. It had stolen, copy, pasted text in it.
He's dead. Oh my god. He's dead.
Zed, Maynard. Yeah, the spider just killed a couple of flies.
Hey there, imaginary friends. I forgot to turn up the OBS sound while the intro is on. That's why I made 2 intros. And I presume you don't read the comments under the videos. So, because we have very little time, let's go straight into it. I wanted to go and follow the timeline, but decided not to. Here we are again, a fitting place. So I was thinking I'm gonna try and avoid being, helpful and constructive and positive, which I tend to do, and so I'm not gonna, how art imitates life and vice versa, because recently I've been made aware of a comic that origin story has some connection to this, so I'm not gonna mention it. It's from a famous universe, that comic villain. And the other thing is the intro. The main part I already used, and this place and that place, and it's all connected. So one other thing, because intro inspired me to take a different path, so to zigzag a bit, get as many details out as I can, because that's what usually makes problems. So yeah, about the intro. Yeah, when something bad happens here, police often tries to do some public propaganda and public pressure deflection onto the suspects and anyone else that they can, and they will use anything, no matter how stupid, in order to do so. And even it can be symptomatic. For example, here they would use the symbols of the ghost and of the spider, and they will focus on that. They would focus on that, and we're gonna mention that too here now, because it really depicts the range that this fictional foe has. So from, you know, some manic depression shit, from fear of being ghosted, to the ultimate fantasy that he's some master manipulator, and you know that he controls everything. Just and before the stream, I remembered, you know, just like the jailer in a way, some comical wannabe villain, fail villain, tragic comical character. And you know, some WoW content creators have some connections with some WoW people, and this one had connection with one unknown that we may assume has now left the building and is behind, in one way or another, to some extent or another, behind the creation of this failed villain in WoW. And it's real fitting that recently I've seen that image and decided to use it as a thumbnail from Reddit. There's a link in the community tab, like most of the times. I don't know if I explained that well, but it doesn't matter. So it does matter that there is that he goes from, you know, passive to aggressive, from I'm on, whether he is on medication and what kind, and I don't know, but I have my doubts there. You know, there's that wounded bird, broken wing kinda play there, you know, please give me attention. I'm all regretful, in a bad state, you know, help me please, you know, I'm on medication, you know, stuff like that. But it never stops there. When that transition happened, if it ever happened, if it wasn't always there, I don't know, but there are stages in his behavior, and one of them is that, playing dead, and then it comes some, oh hey, let's I'm okay guy, blah blah blah, I can help you, some power flexing and stuff. He will often flex power and money, and then he will use that to try and put people into a submission. Now, I already discovered this, so let's go and follow the timeline, and maybe this will become a bit more clearer. And I love how he often says one thing and something completely opposite in the next sentence. He's trying to play the part, but just can't, stick the landing, and can't keep it up, because most of this is all what he said, and then he gives advice how you shouldn't overshare in a stream. A lot of moments like that. And I guess I want to say this also, because we have very, very little time, because this came to mind yesterday and I was perplexed a bit, but then I think I figured it out. He had a lot of people in editing sweatshops like this one, and they would of course after a while get away, and many of them would become very successful, making great, known, funny, successful channels with great content, and he would often mention them and be perplexed how he's inviting them to edit for him and that they won't do it, and he's all surprised. And for the longest time, when that came to mind, I mean, I know he's batshit crazy, but I was wondering, why is he doing that? But that also, I would say, falls under that weird power flex. Sure, you got away from the sweatshop, you're now a famous fashion designer. Why don't you go back to the sweatshop? Because he still thinks he has power over them, and wants to portray that image of him being in some kind of a dominant position. And maybe there was something else. That his content is superior or something. I forgot, doesn't matter. That's why I want to get this all as much as possible out, because I don't want to remember and I will forget. So let's go follow the timeline. So like with every bad villain, and I did use some phrases, but let's make some proper character creation there. So first location, where do we put him? Somewhere in the US, of course, but where? Let's not delve too much into that. Alabama is overused. Arizona it is. So how about the name? Let's already mentioned one existing villain. Of course this will be a caricature of it, but of who? How about Friday the 13th? What's the guy's name? Let's say Jason. But do we use a number? 10, bottom 10, or do we just use X, JSON X, or do we use some color instead of a number as the last name? What color could we use? Maybe a color of a exploded hemorrhoid. I guess it would be red. So do we go with the JSON red or JSON X? Or do we just go with the old, slime rat and sicko psycho, fat rat or fatso ratso? Doesn't matter, but we have some foundation. And that fatso ratso bloated on cheese tells his origin story, and by his own telling, he says that his father, pater familias, is a admirer of paintings, Austrian painter in particular, and likes those neo movements, neo-socialist, a bit of neo-nationalist, and also like some of those military medical programs, for helping out soldiers to perform their tasks. Also consumes, but also likes to share with the civilian population, as such as himself, as he is. I don't know if they donate to him for providing such service, but it's not he, unlike his offspring, he's not limited, he tends to expand his views when it comes to gimps, so he has no issues with having a gimp from ethnicity that is not of his own and is a bit more to the south, and by this fail foe own remembrance, I guess there was some junky juices going around there, and whether GIMP was for entertainment or breeding purposes doesn't matter. What does matter that by that story GIMP was able to get away, unlike from that movie, and I don't know, but I guess she had at some point, I think, 4 kids, 2 older sisters and 2 sons. This fictional story main protagonist being the older of the 2 and younger of the 2 sisters, and after she somehow got away. Now what kind of apparently she was being held captive or something, but what kind of a situation was going there, I have no clue, and who knows, you can assume for yourself. whether that was physical or mental. Okay, we need to finish soon. Let's just finish the timeline and maybe go into explanations some other time. So yeah, after that one, it seems that some other relationships weren't that different from that one. Of course, it's not hard to be better than that one. And this all will make sense at some point, if and when I get the time to explain it. So after that, it seems the nature of relationships has changed somewhat, because one of the partners clearly did not give little sicko attention he thought he deserved, but he gave his mother some sound real estate advice, which she acted upon and bought a house. And the final timeline part would be that he didn't leave that house after he one time got mugged or was a victim of attempted mugging at some point, and got, I don't know, scared shitless or shit his pants, I don't know. But I do know that he didn't wanna go outside for a long time, which wouldn't be too, I guess nothing of this, depending on how you look at it, is not that illogical. He at the same time acts tough on the internet and pretends he's some master manipulator and tough guy, but scared to go outside. You know, is it logical, is it illogical? I guess it makes sense, and it doesn't. So that would be the timeline. We can go into a lot of these things. I mean, clearly to explain the lack of spine and lack of ego. Now, because it seems always have to explain everything completely, it doesn't have to be. Of course it doesn't have to be, but it clearly is. And there are a lot of people that had many same or worse issues that are functioning and great people, but not this one. For this one, this explains a lot, and maybe I'll say a couple of more things before we end this. Let's at least try to, because this is where we start connecting the dots. And the one with the house, he resides there with his younger brother, and you know, when, if I understood correctly, one of the great expenses for someone in general, especially in the northwestern part of the globe, would be residence and other expenses that he has covered, and I assume his younger brother, of this fucked up fictional faux caricature, also tends to participate in some expenses. So when someone gives you advice and pretends, you know, to be this or that, it's nice when you have the info and complete picture how the things truly are. And there have been some latest talks, and you do you, and it's all good, but disclosure of information would be nice. And this is it. And yes, sadly, I try to start, but it always gets complicated. But I guess this is something too. It seems that he has, although he has no allegedly contact with his father, dear old papa, he has inherited his desires and his MO, but not his competence, maybe a bit of spine. Not that I'm complimenting him, but it's clearly not hard to be better than the slime ball. And his mother's I guess competence, and you can see that he tends to fluctuate, and it seems that his end game would be, you know, to be like his dad. Some love and hate relationship there. So let's end it here.
Please, do not tug the wrappings.
See you soon. Real soon.